Hi friends, welcome to another RedditRev episode. Please subscribe and hit that like button if you're enjoying the content, and please share it with your friends if you can. I'd really appreciate it. Also, please leave me a comment to let me know what you think of the episode. Now let's get started with today's stories.
Am I wrong for not giving my wife a second chance after she had an affair? So this will be a long story of how I found out and what has happened in the past month. I am 21, she is 18. We married so she could receive my military benefits for school and such. She didn't know about these things until after we were married. I noticed a real change in mood about 2 weeks before I found out. Here's the story. About a month ago, I was with my wife at her parents' house in preparation for her wisdom teeth surgery. That night was strange. I had a rough week and felt down. I have had issues with trust before. She has lied to me about her smoking weed, which was a problem with us considering my military background and the fact that she had been in serious trouble for it before with the law. We had been dating for about a year and a half before we married. Anyways, that night she had asked me why I wouldn't touch her, and I told her because I felt like I wasn't good enough for her. After sleeping on the couch with her for a short while, I woke up after a terrible dream of her with someone else. She asked me what my dream was because I had apparently been shaking and breathing heavy in my sleep. I didn't tell her. We both went to bed. The next morning, after her surgery, I went back to get her with her father and aunt. She was coming off of anesthesia and was being very aggressive. She wanted to leave and wouldn't let anyone touch her or help her. We had asked the nurse if her depression medication may have caused the reaction, and she said she hadn't seen that kind of reaction before, even with those who took such medication. Regardless, we left to go to the DMV. She was on her phone the entire time. She wouldn't talk to me. When we arrived at the DMV about 30 minutes later, I checked her phone. She had numerous texts with a fake name. I found messages, pictures, everything. The first message between the two reading, "Hello, mistress." I thought it was a female at first, then found out otherwise quickly. I went into the DMV and asked her father to unlock the car so I could get my CCW, as I was going to have a friend pick me up to remove myself from the situation. In case you were wondering, my CCW is a Glock 19 pistol. No worries, I did not have any suicidal or homicidal intentions. He followed me out. I got my CCW and told him I had to leave. He asked me what was wrong, and I told him it would be better if I just left. Unfortunately, my things were at her house, locked, and no friends could be there within a reasonable time frame. She came out of the building and I saw her from the other side of the parking lot. I saw her and waited at the car. As soon as I saw her, I threw my band on the ground and said the fake name of the man she was having an affair with. I immediately collapsed to the ground. I couldn't walk, so I dragged myself to the grass to a tree. She just looked at me. I only said why, and she said, "I don't know." I had to ride with her back in the car, staring out the window. She tried texting me, but I just put my phone on the seat. It was the longest and worst 2-hour car ride of my life back to her house. When we arrived, I got my things and she asked, "So this is it, we are getting a divorce?" I said, "What else do you want me to say?" and walked to the door. I politely said goodbye to her aunt, and she came in behind me and said, "Don't worry, you won't be seeing him again." I tried so hard not to say anything, but I couldn't hold back. I turned to her aunt and said, "I won't be back because your niece has been cheating on me and that we had been married for the past month and a half." Her aunt was one of the few who did not know of our self-uniting marriage we had. For the next few hours, I was fueled on pure rage. I was driving recklessly, not caring about my safety or anyone else's. That scares me looking back at how I was. I'm not that kind of person at all. But I had lost myself and everything in that moment, so I figured if I lost control of the car and things ended, it wouldn't be the worst thing that happened that day. After slightly settling down, I met with her about 6 hours later. We discussed what happened. After an hour of nowhere and her admitting to everything, the affair, the weed, the lies, I asked her if she was proud of what she did. She responded with, "I'm not proud," but admitted she felt good I didn't know and she wasn't getting caught. After that, things went black again. This was not the woman I fell in love with and married. I told her I had to leave and she asked me for a kiss, for a hug, to give her another chance. I said no and immediately left. Cheating is the one thing we both agreed would never happen. My parents had been through a nasty divorce because of it, as had hers. She would even say, "If you ever cheated on me, I'd kill her, and you?" I thought it was a joke on her part, but she has accused me of cheating in the past. This is a throwaway account, so I have no reason to lie. I never once did or thought of it. I'm a man of my word, and it's all a man has. If a man's word is worthless, the man is worthless. I live by that phrase. The affair had taken place for 2 weeks of actual intimacy, and she had been with him for a month, talking to him and smoking weed with him. Since the past month I've been trying to find a reason why she did it. I've asked her. She has told me it was her, and I did nothing wrong. I gave her everything I could, but it wasn't enough because if I was, this would have never happened. She said the weed started again after we had a fight about her not taking he medication, and I called her out on it. She was becoming closed out and wouldn't really talk with me, no real conversation at least. And that's where she says she started smoking with that kid. She wrecked her car while I was at training and called me 2 weeks before I found out about the affair. She told me a lie about where she had been, probably driving high. That night the kid kissed her and she let him and said he loved her. She didn't tell me, nor did she space herself from him. She has been texting me and calling since I found out. She wants me to give her another second chance. I have told her I can't, the trust is gone. I'm currently at a 2-week training for the National Guard, 8 days in. She has been trying to guilt me into talk to her. I actually didn't respond until one night during training. I must have, but dialed her while shooting, twice. I saw texts about how she couldn't answer and she was at work. I didn't know I but dialed her until then and said I didn't mean to and that it was my bad, not acknowledging any of her texts. It may be cold, but I can't train with live ammunition next to my team if they are worried about my state of mind. When I get on the firing line is one of the few places I can just shut my mind off and do what I'm supposed to do and only focus on that. Regardless, I respond to her guilt-ridden texts and finally told her off. I've not said a bad word about her even to this day. I refuse to do that to someone I loved, and still do in a way. I told her to stop trying to make me feel guilty and to leave me alone until I was at least done with training. I felt so free, so liberated that I could finally tell her to leave me alone and not buckle and give in to one of her messages. She was the girl I lost my virginity to at 19, and she had been with many people up at that point, including 2 of my best friends. I chose to look past it and begin dating her. Never resented her or judged her for her past. I've never been one to just go out and try to get a lay. After this though, and a month of depression, I decided it was time for me to experience life beyond what I had. I began messaging a girl who had shown interest in me for years, but I was dating my wife and did not speak with her beyond the occasional hello, how are you doing when I would see her at my college campus. This turned into a list-driven motive which I didn't think I would do. I got a picture of this girl with a ring on her finger and my stomach instantly dropped and twisted. She tried to say she isn't engaged, but I looked on her Facebook and she has pictures with a ring on her left hand. Not the right like she had sent after I asked if that was an engagement ring. I am not talking to her at all anymore because it makes me sick to my stomach. I can't seem to understand why I had to find out my wife had an affair, why I feel guilt about not giving her another chance, why I decided to begin talking to another woman, or why that woman had to be engaged and lie to me about it and try to rendezvous with me. I'm not a perfect guy. But I treated my wife with respect and quite literally like gold during our entire relationship. I'm scared that somewhere in all of this I lost sight of who I am and now it just keeps coming back to bad things. My friends tell me that it was put of my control, Bad things happen to good people, I didn't deserve it. But it seems like through each corner I pass, karma or something is just waiting to knock me back down. I'm not one to share feelings or to feel depressed, but I have to admit, this event has completely thrown me down a hole which I don't think I'm climbing out of no matter how hard I try. I question if I made the right choice in not giving her another chance. I don't regret anything in my life, not even falling in love with and marrying who I thought was the one. But it would seem that I'm doing wrong at this point.
I hope you enjoyed our video. It's always a pleasure creating these stories, and if you liked what you saw, please take the time to show your support by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you haven't already done so. Sharing with your friends is also greatly appreciated. Let me know in the comments section below what you think of our videos. I'm all ears. Be sure to check back soon for more original Reddit stories every day on RedditRev. Until then, stay awesome, my friend.